All right, it was an eventful day. Sorry for doing this late, but I had some late work, so that's that. But the Padres, they win game one of this series against the Pirates, taking care of business against bad teams. Great. I wasn't able to watch this game. I listened to a lot of it. I saw some highlights. The main thing, obviously, coming out of this game, Fernando Tatis Jr., he got hit, and so far, it seems like it's the best news that it can be. If you were not watching, I did post the clip once I saw it, and it was like 95-mile-per-hour fastball gets him, and then immediately you can see this that's on the screen for the YouTube audience. You can see how big that thing got, and yeah, I see that, and then he obviously exits the game immediately, and it's like, oh no, something's broken, fractured something. But right now, I don't know how much of the swelling went down when they did the X-ray, but the Padres did have an update during the game, um, that said X-rays were negative. Kevin Acee in his Padres recap tonight, Tatis did not have any bones broken. It appears that he doesn't have any bones broken. 93-mile-per-hour fastball, sorry, not 95. That hit his left forearm and forced him from the game in the top of the third inning. The team announced later in the game that X-rays on Tatis's arm were negative, and he had a bruised forearm. Padres sources specified afterward that Tatis suffered a hematoma created by a popped blood vessel, which is what caused the rapid swelling. Tatis, whose arm was tightly wrapped, could return as soon as Saturday, he and others said. Which, when he says I could return, that's him trying to be optimistic and him wanting to play. That's totally different than, trainers, the medical team, approving him to play. So the others thing I think is key to note there. Tatis after the game said, "I feel good, just a little bit sore. Going to sleep on it, see how it feels tomorrow, and we'll go from there." I mean, me watching that, obviously, I don't know what it looks like right now for Tatis. It wasn't in the clubhouse, obviously, but seeing the clip, to me, it's like, yeah, we're playing the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I know it's another major league team, but I believe in this Padres team, and I'd rather have Tatis not play tomorrow. It's not a super easy turnaround, right? I think the game tomorrow, it's definitely earlier than what it was today. Now weather could happen as well, but against the Pirates here on May 3rd, which is what the date of the game will be tomorrow, like I'm not gonna try to push that. You have Brandon Lockridge back, and he produced tonight, so good for him. Put him in there. You have Tyler Wade that can go play center, and then you have Hayward. If you want Lockridge and right, you can have Hayward and left. You can have Oscar Gonzalez. He's still on the roster. Like there are options here. It's not the end of the world if Tatis doesn't play tomorrow. He may push to play tomorrow, and he may feel well. It may not look good, but it may not be an issue. Because Kevin did mention here, right, the pop blood vessel. So it may not be a big deal, but it may look like a big deal. One of those things. I'm not gonna act like I'm a doctor though, so that's really all I'll say about it. It just didn't look great. It didn't look like he was comfortable. Obviously, you're not going to be comfortable when you're hit by a 93-mile-per-hour fastball, but it did not look good. And I think we should be very grateful that it wasn't a couple inches, you know, down that arm and hits the wrist or something, or hits the elbow, and we could really be talking about something serious here. This is twice now this season where it seems like the Padres have dodged it a little bit. You had Tatis, remember earlier in the year with the shoulder, and he didn't miss very long there. That was in Sacramento with the swing. And it may have been a slider, a dive into third, right, as well. That contributed to that. And then here. So, listening to the game, I listened to almost all the game. It seemed like Cease didn't pitch that great, walked too many guys. And then there was a lot of hit by pitches, bean balls. Now, I don't want to make it seem like Padres pitchers were trying to hit Pittsburgh batters or Pittsburgh pitchers were trying to hit Padre batters. But like no one was in the stands obviously because of there was weather that, pushed the game back and it's the Pirates anyway, so there's not that many fans that show up. Skeens isn't pitching. Um and so I heard the Padres fans for sure. You could hear that on the radio broadcast, but it seemed like it was a really long game and not the best watch. So you can let me know in the comments, those that did watch the game, you can let me know your thoughts on it. But obviously, the big thing here is the health of Tatis. We'll see what happens tomorrow. An update there. No broken bones, though, is what it appears. And so that is great news because if there's one guy that the Padres can't afford to miss, it's Tatis. Like, you cannot. I know that there's talent in this lineup, but Tatis is the Padres' best player. He has been the Padres' best player this season. He is an MVP candidate. I know it's very early on, and you can laugh at me when I say that, but he is an MVP candidate right now. And so, yeah, losing him, obviously, what he provides offensively, but not just offensively, defensively with his arm, his glove, the speed that he has. Losing Luis Ariz for a week, whatever it was, that took some air out of the Padres balloon, if you will. Losing Tatis would definitely do that. I know that Jackson Merrill's seems to be coming back soon. He's going to be on a rehab assignment in San Antonio. Don't know if you guys saw that. I think that's going to be starting tomorrow. So back in San Antonio for him. So that's pretty cool for those that are in San Antonio to get to see Jackson again. And Lockridge obviously back, Hayward back, but yeah, there's no denying the impact that Tatis has on this team, the impact that he's had. I mean, where is the Padres' power? Especially with Merrill having been out, the power is Fernando. Like that's the one guy you point to. So yeah, they took care of business. Luckily, 2 of the 3 series on this road trip are against Pittsburgh and Colorado. Yankees obviously in the middle, and it's a long season. But yeah, thankfully it seems like the Padres were able to dodge a bullet here. But as Tony Gwynn Jr. and Jesse Agler were mentioning on the broadcast when they first saw that update that the Padres gave, this X-ray was happening pretty immediately. So really, what is it going to look like tomorrow? That's a big question that I have. Not totally out of the woods yet, is what they were saying, and they know more than me. Tony, a former player, would know more than me. So I would agree with that. So I'm a little bit relieved, but I'm not fully, if that makes sense, because you know, sometimes I think it's totally different, but us maybe after a workout or something, we feel fine, and then the next day you're sore and you're like, oh my gosh, So the next day, I think that's the big thing here. But Padres got the win. I did want to mention Lockridge obviously up, Tirso down, and I'm not surprised by this. I like seeing Tirso make it to the big leagues. I thought it was a great story. I'm not closing the door on him returning to the big leagues, but and it was only 14 at bats. I get it, but in those at bats, there was some opportunity there, and he went 1 for 14. He drove in a run, but just didn't make enough of an impact to stand out to be like, yeah, you should stay up over someone like Oscar Gonzalez. Tyler Wade, I think he has proven the way that he's played, obviously, that he will be on the roster when Merrill comes up. He will. I would think that it would be Oscar that goes, but we'll see. Maybe Connor Joe, he's on the roster too. Still, but yeah, I don't really have a ton of thoughts on that. It's just I hope that Tirso mashes in El Paso, and the next time he comes up, he can capitalize on those opportunities that he gets. He did hit some balls hard, but if we're talking about results here, batting average on base, 188 on base, 259 OPS. Again, one hit in the 14 at bats. I'm happy that he got the hit. It's a memorable single up the middle at home. I think it was that Sunday game. But yeah, a little disappointing with the results. But Lockridge, he deserves to be up here. So happy to have him back. Obviously, you want our guys as healthy as possible. And then also news that came out today from Kevin Acee was that Stephen Kolek will be starting on Sunday. I had Nick Pivetta slated for Sunday because that was when he would pitch. That's the rotation. But with the Yankee series coming up, they have Kolek, who was fighting for that last rotation spot with Kyle Hart. Kyle Hart ends up winning it. Vasquez is still on the roster, obviously. Have Kolek get his opportunity here, slide guys back. And so for the Yankees, it's your three best available pitchers. It's Pivetta, it's King, and it's Cease. Um, maybe some would make the argument for Vasquez over Cease right now, but Cease, the name, the track record, you get what I'm saying. But yeah, Kolek, first major league start coming Sunday against the Pirates. And I mean, it makes sense. I'm fine with it. Sunday game. You have a strong bullpen if it doesn't go great. So I'm fine with it. Schilt saying we have been really intentional about the days off. It's that balancing act of making sure we're competing, which we clearly are, and making sure we recognize it's a long year for all the guys. Worked 42 games out of the bullpen for the Padres in 2024. And he'll get his day. Kyle Hart wasn't going to come up. I had a feeling it would be either like a bullpen game or it would be Kolek. You signed Stephen Kolek, you gave him the opportunity to compete, and it was a close race, I thought. I was a little surprised based on performance. I know we shouldn't weigh too heavily performance in spring training, but it is something when you have a spot on the line and you're competing. I think we should put a little bit into that, the pressure that you have there in spring training, and Kolek pitched well. And so I was a little bit surprised. Thinking about it more, I wasn't as surprised, but still a little surprised that he didn't make the opening day roster in that rotation. But Kyle Hart had started in the big leagues before. He was a starter in KBO. Kolek was transitioning into being a starter, so it did make sense to have him get some starts under his belt at the minor league level before coming up to the big league level. And now Kolek gets his opportunity. What is he going to do with it? Kyle Hart had some good starts, but then there was also some where probably could have located better, doesn't blow people away with velocity. Now Kolek, when he gets these opportunities here, what is he going to do with it? And until Darvish comes back, it's going to be between him and Kyle Hart. And if Kolek pitches well, then Kyle Hart's going to stay down in El Paso. So, it's the opportunity here. Again, updates on Merrill. San Antonio is where he's going to be headed for a rehab assignment. Should only be a couple of games, I would think, because he's slated to come back Monday in New York. Crony, Friday in Colorado. And yeah. Robert Suarez, by the way, National League reliever of the month for April, converted all 12 of his save opportunities while allowing one run in 14 innings. So good for him. Kolek, I did want to look up Kolek's minors numbers and just throw them at you here real quick. So minors overall this year, 6.38 ERA, which in 5 outings, 24 innings. So that doesn't stand out. But it's also El Paso. Like, that league is extremely friendly to hitters. I mean, we're seeing I'm not saying Campy's not a good hitter. That's obviously a strength over his defense, but the dude's like Barry Bonds out there in El Paso. And when he comes to the big leagues, would he do that? Yeah, no. Trying to find the game logs here for Kolek. Kolek game logs. Bear with me here. I don't think I'm missing other news from today. If I am, I apologize. It's been a long day, and I'm just kind of trying to round out the day for you guys and, at least go over the notable news from today. Okay, here they are. So his ERA is very misleading, I'd say. 2 rough outings is what I'm seeing. At Oklahoma City, at Albuquerque, he combined to give up 13 earned runs in 2 outings. The other 3, so the majority of his outings, 5 innings, no runs, 5 innings, 2 runs, and his latest outing was 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 runs total, no walks, 4 strikeouts. So it's been up and down for Kolek, is what it looks like, results wise, earned runs wise in the minors. But what I want to see, okay, how many strikes is he throwing? Is he able to pound the strike zone? And it looks like he has been for the most part. Majority of his pitches have been strikes. His last outing, 55 of the 82 were strikes, so almost 70%. And I'm just excited to see what he can give. Um, you know, with work, I'm going to be a little bit occupied this weekend, so I'm not going to be able to watch a ton of this series, to be honest. And the way it's going to line up, I may not have a show until Monday. Maybe I'll go live Monday again, just with my schedule. But yeah, we'll see how Kolek does. And Padres, you'd like them to sweep this series. It is the Pirates. Take advantage. They took advantage of the Rockies, obviously, already earlier this season. Face them again, obviously, and we'll see what happens there. But, no Paul Skeens. You win the first one, and there was weather involved there. I mean, the Pirates, they're 12-21. They're 7-10 at home, a negative 43 run differential, 4-6 in their last 10. You're a better team. Go win these games. If they take 2 out of 3 and they don't sweep, I don't think that's the end of the world. Like, on the road, you're going to take every series win that you can get. But if the Padres want to be a great team, I'd like them to be sweeping these bad teams. Those are wins that they can't take away from you.